The rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Elias Thorne's cramped Seattle loft like it was trying to drown out the city's endless hum, but nothing could silence the ping that shattered his midnight haze. He stared at his phone screen, heart slamming against his ribs, as the message icon glowed with Harlan Voss's name. His boss, the unyielding creative director at Voss Media, the man whose sharp jaw and piercing blue eyes had haunted more than one boardroom fantasy. What the hell had he done? The photo, a shirtless selfie snapped in a haze of post-gym endorphins, sweat-glistened abs and a crooked grin meant for a faceless grinder hookup, stared back at him from the sent folder, timestamped 2 minutes ago, delivered straight to the one contact he never meant to tag. Elias's fingers trembled as he swiped to delete it, but the read receipt had already bloomed like a bruise. Seen at 12:03 a.m. His stomach twisted into knots, visions of HR nightmares and pink slips flashing like lightning over Puget Sound. Harlan Voss wasn't just any boss. He was the kingpin of indie film production in the Pacific Northwest, a 35-year-old enigma with a reputation for turning raw talent into gold, or crushing it underfoot. Elias had clawed his way into Voss Media as a junior editor 6 months ago, fresh from a nowhere town in eastern Washington, dreaming of scripts that mattered, stories that cut deep into the queer underbelly of American life. And now this, a thirst trap gone rogue, exposing more than skin, the quiet ache of a man who'd spent years hiding his edges in a city that preached acceptance but whispered judgment. He collapsed onto the edge of his unmade bed, the city's neon bleed painting his bare chest in erratic blues and pinks. Replay the night. Too many IPAs at a dive bar with his roommate Jax, laughter echoing off graffiti walls as they swapped tales of bad dates and worse decisions. Elias had fired off the pic on autopilot, thumb slipping on the autocomplete. Voss, not Voss. Wait, no, that couldn't be right. His pulse thrummed in his ears louder than the downpour. What if Harlan laughed it off? Worse, what if he didn't? Elias buried his face in his hands, the scent of his own cologne, something woodsy and desperate, clinging like regret. By dawn, he'd convinced himself it was a glitch, a cosmic joke. He'd slink into the office Monday, head down, edits flawless, and pray the universe had mercy. But Harlan Voss was not a man who let glitches slide. Monday morning arrived shrouded in Seattle's perpetual gray, the Space Needle a ghostly silhouette against the mist as Elias navigated the glass and steel lobby of Voss Tower. His reflection in the elevator doors mocked him, tousled hair tamed into submission, buttoned down crisp but hiding the tattoo snaking up his ribcage, a winding river from his small-town roots, inked during a rebellious college summer. Floor 22 dinged open and there was the team. Interns buzzing like caffeinated bees, producers barking into headsets, the air thick with the aroma of overbrewed coffee and ambition. Elias dropped his laptop bag at his desk, eyes darting to Harlan's corner office. The door was ajar, revealing a sliver of the man himself, perched on the edge of his desk in a tailored navy suit that hugged his broad shoulders, phone in hand, that signature half-smirk playing on his lips as he scrolled. Harlan looked up, locking eyes through the partition glass, and Elias's world tilted. No anger, no disgust, just a slow, deliberate nod, like he'd been expecting this exact unraveling. Elias swallowed hard, forcing his gaze to his screen, fingers flying over keys to mask the chaos inside. The day dragged. Cuts on a documentary about queer elders in the Castro, notes on a script about forbidden love in the Bible Belt. But every glance toward that office felt like walking a tightrope over abyss. Lunch came and went in a blur of takeout poke bowls and awkward small talk with Mia, the sharp-tongued producer who'd become his reluctant mentor. "You look like you saw a ghost, Thorne," she quipped, chopsticks poised midair. Elias mumbled something about a hangover, but his mind replayed the photo's reckless angle, the way his jeans hung low on his hips, the accidental vulnerability in his eyes. By 4 p.m. his inbox pinged. A meeting invite from Harlan. Subject: performance review. Time: 8 p.m. tonight. Location: penthouse conference room. Elias's blood ran cold. Penthouse? That was Harlan's private domain. A sleek area topped the tower with views that stretched to the Olympics, reserved for power plays and whispered deals. The hours crawled. Elias powered through revisions, the hum of the office fading as colleagues trickled out, umbrellas blooming like black flowers in the lot below. At 7:45, he rode the private elevator alone, stomach churning, rehearsing apologies. "It was a mistake, sir. Autocorrect. Won't happen again." The doors parted into a space that screamed Harlan Voss. Minimalist chic with exposed brick. A bar cart gleaming under recessed lights, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the storm-swept bay. Harlan stood by the glass, back turned, a tumbler of amber liquid in hand. "Whiskey neat." He didn't turn as Elias entered, just murmured, "Lock the door behind you." Elias's hand froze on the latch, the click echoing like a gunshot. "Mr. Voss, I." "Harlan," he corrected, voice low and gravelly, laced with that faint Texas drawl he'd never quite shaken from his Austin roots. He pivoted then, blue eyes pinning Elias in place, the smirk gone, replaced by something darker, hungrier. "And it's not Mr. Voss in here. Sit." He gestured to the leather armchair facing the desk, but his gaze raked over Elias like he was storyboarding a scene. Frame by frame, no cuts. Elias sank into the chair, knees weak, the city's lights blurring into starfire beyond the rain. Harlan circled him slowly, setting the glass down with a deliberate clink. "That photo," he said, casual as commenting on weather, "was bold. Reckless even. But honest." He leaned against the desk, arms crossed, sleeves rolled to reveal forearms corded with quiet strength. "Tell me, Elias, do you send those to everyone, or was I special?" Heat flooded Elias's face, a cocktail of shame and thrill. "It was an accident. Autocomplete. I swear I." Harlan chuckled, a sound that vibrated through the room like bass from a hidden speaker. "Accidents have consequences. Good ones teach us." He straightened, unbuttoning his cuff with unhurried grace. "Your edits on the Castro doc? Solid. But there's fire in you, Thorne. Something raw. I see it." His eyes dipped, lingering on Elias's collarbone, then back up. "Question is, do you?" The air thickened, charged like the storm outside. Elias's breath hitched, mind screaming run while his body betrayed him. Pulse racing, skin prickling under that stare. Harlan stepped closer, close enough that Elias caught his scent. Sandalwood and storm, the faint bite of whiskey. "This isn't HR territory," Harlan murmured, voice dropping to a whisper that brushed Elias's ear. "This is off-book. Midnight reviews. Where we strip away the bullshit and see what's real." His hand ghosted Elias's shoulder, not touching, but the promise crackled. "You in? Or do we pretend that photo never happened?" Elias's world narrowed to that point of almost contact, the rain a frantic drumbeat urging him forward. He nodded, barely a whisper escaping. "In." And just like that, the line blurred, boss and employee dissolving into something electric, unnamed. Harlan's smile returned, slow and victorious, as he poured a second glass. "Good. Drink. We've got all night." The whiskey burned, going down, warming the fear into something fiercer. Harlan talked then, not as the untouchable exec, but as a man unpeeling layers. Stories of his first queer kiss behind a honky-tonk in Austin, the betrayal of a lover who sold his script idea to Hollywood vultures, the quiet rage that built Voss Media from a garage dream. Elias listened, mesmerized, sharing fragments of his own. Growing up in dusty Palouse fields, the sting of his father's silence when he came out at 19, the hunger for stories that mirrored his fractured heart. Hours slipped away, the city below a glittering witness, until Harlan's hand finally landed, firm on Elias's knee, igniting a spark that raced up his spine. What followed was no accident. Harlan pulled him up, mouths crashing in a kiss that tasted of risk and release, hands mapping uncharted territories with the precision of a director's cut. Elias melted into it, years of guarded longing uncoiling like film from a reel. They tumbled onto the penthouse sofa, clothes shedding like old scripts, bodies speaking in gasps and groans what words couldn't. Harlan was commanding yet tender, whispering praises that seared. "Beautiful, just like that," as Elias arched under him, lost in the rhythm of give and take. It was messy, intense, the kind of connection that left marks. Fingerprints on hips, bites on shoulders, echoes in the soul. Dawn crept in, gray light filtering through blinds, as they lay tangled, breath sinking with the ebbing rain. Harlan traced lazy circles on Elias's chest, voice husky. "This changes things." Elias nodded, heart full and terrified, knowing it already had. But as he dressed, stealing glances at the man who'd upended his world, a whisper of doubt crept in. What if this was just another role, another scene Harlan directed and discarded? He pushed it down, sealing the night with a kiss at the elevator. Until next review, Harlan said, eyes promising more. Back in his loft, Elias collapsed into bed, body aching deliciously, mind a whirlwind. The city stirred awake outside, oblivious to the seismic shift. He crossed the line, but God, it felt like coming home. Little did he know the real plot was just twisting into Act 2. Elias's days blurred into a fever dream of stolen glances and coded emails. The office a stage where every interaction hummed with subtext. Voss Tower loomed like a monolith in Seattle's drizzle, its reflective facade mirroring the turmoil in his chest, smooth on the surface, fractured beneath. He arrived early now, fueled by black coffee and the phantom press of Harlan's lips, burying himself in footage of fading drag queens and resilient activists, cuts that mirrored his own hidden fractures. Mia noticed the glow, ribbing him over vending machine snacks. Spill Thorn. New lay or lottery win. Elias deflected with a grin, but inside the secret coiled tight, a vine wrapping his ribs. Harlan played it masterfully cool in public, nods across conference tables, curt praises in team huddles, but his eyes lingered, blue flames igniting whenever Elias bent to retrieve a cable or laughed at a colleague's quip. The power imbalance thrilled and terrified. Harlan, 35 and sculpted from boardroom battles, versus Elias, 28 and still shedding small-town dust. Yet in those midnight summons the scales tipped. The penthouse became their confessional, reviews stretching into marathons of skin and soul. Second night. Harlan blindfolded him with his own tie, senses sharpening to every rustle, every breath, building tension until Elias begged, voice breaking on pleas that unlocked something primal in them both. Your poetry, Harlan murmured after, fingers combing sweat-damp hair. As they watched fairies slice the sound like silver blades, Elias traced the scar above Harlan's eyebrow, a bar fight remnant from his wilder 20s, and coaxed out tales of near misses. A producer who'd outed him for leverage, a lover lost to AIDS in the 90s shadow. Harlan's vulnerability cracked Elias open in turn, confessions spilling like rain. His ex in college who called him too sensitive for manhood. The isolation of editing alone in a city that celebrated pride but forgot the quiet ones. Sex wove through it all, not conquest but communion. Slow explorations on the rug, urgent claims against the window, Harlan's Texas growl praising Elias's lithe form, the freckles he mapped like constellations. By week 3 the rhythm addicted. Elias's edits sharpened, infused with bold cuts that earned Harlan's rare public nod. Thorn's got vision. Whispers rippled. Mia arching a brow, interns speculating on the golden boy favoritism. Elias ignored them, lost in the high of Harlan's texts. Penthouse. 11. Bring that fire. He'd slip out after dark, heart racing past night shift security, into arms that felt like anchors. But cracks spiderwebbed. One night, post-climax haze, Harlan's phone buzzed incessantly on the nightstand. Elias glimpsed the name. Derek Hale, a rival producer from LA, text laced with urgency, deals, deadlines, dinner invites that read too intimate. Who's Derek? Elias asked lightly, tracing Harlan's jaw, but the flinch was microscopic, gone in a blink. Old colleague. Shark in silk. Harlan rolled away, pouring scotch with steady hands. Nothing that matters here. Elias nodded, but the seed lodged, watering with every evasive glance. Harlan dove deeper into work, a new project swallowing him. Echoes of Exile, a feature on queer migration from the South to Seattle's fringes. Elias pitched ideas in their stolen hours, interviews with trans elders in Capitol Hill dives, montages of rainy pride marches, but Harlan's focus sharpened elsewhere, calls stretching late, his touches growing distracted. The betrayal brewed slow like Seattle fog. Elias threw himself into research, interviewing a soft-spoken veteran named Cal from rural Idaho. His stories of hidden love in haylofts echoing Elias's own ghosts. Cal's eyes, faded blue like Harlan's, held a warning. Power twists love, son. Makes it a weapon. Elias brushed it off, but the words lingered as he reviewed dailies alone, the office a tomb after hours. One evening Harlan canceled. Emergency pitch in Portland. Elias paced his loft, rain lashing windows, firing off a vulnerable text. Miss you already. The reply rain check. Busy. Stung like salt in a cut. Desperation Claude. Jax, his roommate, a burly barista with a heart of gold and a penchant for bad poetry, noticed the pacing. Spill Eli. You're unraveling like my last latte art. Over cheap beer on the fire escape, Elias cracked, words tumbling. The photo, the reviews, the man who'd made him feel seen. Jax listened, brow furrowed, then gripped his shoulder. Sounds hot as hell but dangerous. Bosses don't do hearts, they do headlines. Elias laughed it off, but sleep evaded, dreams tangled in silk ties and unanswered buzzes. Week 4 shattered on a Thursday. Elias stayed late, syncing files for echoes, when voices drifted from Harlan's office, low, heated, laced with laughter that knifed his gut. He crept closer, heart in throat, peering through the blinds. Harlan, tie loosened, leaned over his desk, Derek Hale opposite, tall, polished, with a ellatan and eyes that devoured. Derek's hand brushed Harlan's as he passed a tablet, lingering too long, and Harlan didn't pull away. We make a hell of a team, Voss, Derek purred, voice carrying. Like old times. Ditch the indie grind. Come south. We could own this. Harlan's chuckle rumbled, genuine, as he clinked glasses. Tempting. But Seattle's got its hooks. Their faces inches apart, the air thick with history Elias couldn't touch. He backed away, bow rising, fleeing to the stairwell where he retched into shadows. Betrayal bloomed hot and immediate. Not just the flirtation but the erasure. All those nights, the whispers of forever, reduced to a port in Harlan's storm. Elias drove home through sheets of rain, tires hydroplaning on I-5, radio crooning some indie ballad about broken boys. Jax was out, loft empty save for the drip of a faucet. Elias stripped to skin, standing under scalding shower spray until it bruised, scrubbing away phantom touches. Why did it hurt so? Because Harlan had seen him, freckles and fears, and promised a story worth telling. Now it felt scripted, Elias the disposable extra. He curled on the tile, sobs racking. The water a veil for the boy who'd learned early that love was alone, always called due. Morning came, cruel, coffee bitter. Elias dragged to the office, armor up. Polite nods, flawless cuts. Harlan caught him in the break room, cornering with that disarming smile. Missed you last night. Portland was hell. Elias forced a grin, murmuring, no worries, but his eyes betrayed the frost. Harlan paused, brow creasing. Everything good? Elias nodded, escaping to his desk, but the seed of doubt flowered into resolve. If this was a game, he'd rewrite the rules or walk the set. That night, no summons came. Elias waited, phone silent, the void screaming louder than any storm. He poured his own whiskey, toasting to fools and their falls, unaware the climax loomed, ready to rip them both bare. The silence stretched into days, a taut wire humming under Elias's skin as Seattle's autumn deepened, leaves turning the streets of Capitol Hill into veins of gold and crimson. Voss Tower felt alien now, its corridors echoing with accusations he couldn't voice. He buried deeper in echoes of exile, interviewing a fiery activist named Theo from New Orleans transplant, whose tales of jazz-fueled hookups and hurricane heartbreaks added grit to the real. Theo's laugh boomed over Mike's, but his eyes held Elias's with knowing. Love's a revolt, honey. Don't let it colonize you. Elias nodded, Mike trembling slightly, the words a mirror to his unraveling. Harlan's orbit tightened in subtle ways. Extra coffees left on his desk, notes scrawled in sharp script. Keep pushing. But the touches vanished, the midnight calls a ghost. Elias replayed the blind's glimpse obsessively. Derek's hand, Harlan's ease. Was it jealousy or justice? Nights blurred into solo rituals. Runs along the waterfront, pounding pavement until lungs burned, the Olympic mountains mocking his smallness. Jax dragged him to a queer open mic at a Fremont dive, stage lights hot on his face as he read a poem, raw verses about borrowed skins and midnight thieves. The crowd snapped approval, but Elias scanned shadows for blue eyes that never appeared. Conflict crested midweek, unannounced. Elias was splicing interviews in the edit bay, screens aglow with faces of quiet warriors, When Harlan burst in, no knock, door banging wide. "We need to talk." His voice cracked the air, jaw set like thunderhead. Elias paused the footage, Cal's voice mid-sentence. "Hold on to your truth or it'll slip like rain." Harlan paced, suit rumpled, tie askew. A rarity that screamed unravel. "You've been ice since Portland. What's eating you?" Elias's laugh barked sharp, surprising them both. "Ice? Try frostbite, Harlan." He stood, chair scraping, the bay's dim confines closing in. "Saw you with Derek. Cozy as hell. Old times, right?" The words hung, venomous and vulnerable, years of guarded heart laid bare. Harlan froze, color draining. "Elias." He reached, but Elias jerked back, fire in his veins. "Don't. Just tell me. Was I a distraction? A convenient edit between deals?" His voice broke, green eyes blazing. Harlan's face crumpled. Not the director's mask but the man's, raw, exposed. He sank into the second chair, head in hands. "Derek's poison wrapped in gold. We hooked up years ago, Prevos, when I was green and stupid. He bailed when it got real, sold me out on a pitch. Now he's circling, smelling blood, my blood, this company's." Elias crossed arms, heart pounding. "And the flirting? The hands?" Harlan looked up, eyes storm-tossed. "Deflection. Testing waters for a partnership, nothing more. But you." He rose, closing distance slow, like approaching a skittish colt. "You're the anchor. These weeks you've been in every frame I cut. I froze because... Shit, Elias, I'm falling. Hard. And it scares the hell out of me." The admission landed like grace, softening Elias's edges. But doubt lingered, a shadow. Then why the silence? Why pull away? Harlan exhaled, rubbing his neck. "Fear. I'm the boss, remember? One whisper in this," he gestured between them, then to the screens. "Crumbles. Derek's sniffing for leverage. Can't risk it." His hand found Elias's, then, tentative, thumb-stroking knuckles. "But losing you? That's the real risk." Elias searched those blues, finding truth in the tremor. He leaned in, foreheads touching, breaths mingling. "Then don't. Fight for this. For us." The kiss ignited slow, rebuilding bridges with lips and whispers, the edit bay a cocoon against the world. They tumbled onto the couch there, urgency tempered by tenderness, Harlan's mouth tracing apologies on collarbones, Elias's fingers unbuttoning with deliberate care. It was reclamation. Bodies remembering rhythms, souls sinking in the glow of paused footage. After, tangled in throw blankets amid cable snarls, Harlan traced Elias's tattoo river. "Tell me about this." Elias did, voice soft. Palouse summers, swimming holes hiding first kisses with a farm boy who vanished to the Marines. Harlan listened, sharing his own ink. A discreet compass on his inner wrist, pointing north to lost kin. Vulnerability bridged them deeper, plans forming in murmurs. Co-credit on echoes, quiet dates in off-grid cabins up by Snoqualmie. But romance's bloom invited thorns. Derek's shadow lengthened. Invites flooded Harlan's calendar. LA schmoozes. Joint ventures that dangled Voss Media's future. Elias felt the pull. Nights alone while Harlan wined sharks in Belltown bistros. One such evening Elias drowned doubts in a solo bar crawl, landing at the Velvet Rope, a leather-clad haven where bodies pressed close under strobing lights. A stranger, tall, bearded, with eyes like smoked oak, bought him a gin fizz, conversation flowing easy. Shared gripes on corporate closets, laughs over bad hookups. Hands brushed, sparks flickering, but Elias's mind wandered to Harlan's growl, pulling back with a polite exit. Fate, cruel director, scripted the collision. Harlan, post-dinner with Derek, wandered in for a nightcap, solo or so he claimed. He spotted Elias mid-laugh with the stranger, glass paused at lips and the world fractured. Harlan's approach was arctic, hand clamping Elias's shoulder. "Going somewhere?" Voice low, laced with possession. Elias startled, gin sloshing. "Harlan? What?" The stranger melted away, sensing storm. Harlan towed him to a shadowed booth, eyes feral. "Who's he?" Jealousy stripped him raw. The untouchable exec reduced to a man staking claim. Elias bristled, heat rising. "Just talk." Unlike some. The barb landed, Harlan recoiling. "Derek again? Worse. You pulling strings from afar." Elias's voice rose, drawing glances. I can't breathe in your orbit, Harlan. It's control, not love. Harlan's fist clenched on the table, knuckles white. Control? I'm building this for us. For you to shine without scandals torching it. But doubt flickered in his eyes, the accusation mirroring his own fears. They sat in charged silence, club's bass thumping like heartbeats, until Harlan softened. Come home with me. Please. Elias went, but the rift lingered, a fault line under their passion. That night in the penthouse, love-making edged desperate. Nails raking, gasps edged with arguments unspoken. Dawn found them staring at ceilings, Harlan's arm heavy across Elias's waist. We need rules, Elias whispered. No more ghosts. Full transparency. Harlan nodded, sealing with a kiss. Deal. But as Elias dressed for work, phone buzzing with a Derek alert. Another pitch, urgent, the line trembled. Romance deepened but conflict coiled tighter, the climax barreling like a freight train through the mist. Winter's grip tightened on Seattle, frost etching the sound's edges as echoes of exile neared rap, its raw humanity spilling onto screens in test cuts that left teams hushed. Elias poured his soul into it, montages of tear-streaked faces and defiant dances weaving a tapestry of queer endurance, from Delta dawns to Cascade rains. Harlan watched dailies with him now, shoulders brushing in the bay, praises whispered like foreplay. This is us, Eli. Unbreakable. The pet name stuck, soft as snowfall, thawing the chill between them. Dates carved space. Hikes in Discovery Park where fog-shrouded evergreens muffled confessions, picnics on Alki Beach with clam chowder steaming against chill winds, Harlan's hand steady in Elias's as they traced shells like secrets. Love bloomed humanistic, roots delving deep. Harlan opened doors. Intros to directors who'd mentored him. A quiet credit on the film that silenced doubters. Elias, in turn, softened Harlan's edges. Cooking farm-fresh meals from Palouse recipes. Reading poetry aloud on penthouse rugs. Verses of Whitman and Ocean Vuong that stirred Harlan's guarded heart. You make me believe in sequels, Harlan admitted one night, post-love glow, fingers interlaced. Elias smiled, but the Derek specter loomed, emails pinging like distant thunder. Betrayal struck swift, a blade in the dark. It unfolded on a Friday, rap party raging in Voss Tower's atrium. Catered bites, indie folk strumming, champagne flutes clinking under twinkling strands. Elias mingled, buzzed on victory and bubbly. Jax at his side trading barbs with Mia. Harlan held court across the room, Derek at his elbow. Uninvited but bold, Lachine cutting through the Pacific chill. Elias watched them lean close over deal sheets. Derek's laugh too familiar, Harlan's nod too indulgent. Stomach nodding, he slipped to the balcony. City lights a dizzying sprawl. Cold air slapping scents into flushed cheeks. Jax followed, concern etching his face. Breathe, man. It's party noise. But Elias shook his head, voice tight. It's prelude to losing him. Jax hugged him fierce, murmuring. You're enough. Always were. Strength borrowed, Elias returned, only to catch the shatter. Harlan and Derek in a shadowed alcove, lips brushing, brief but searing. A kiss? Or calculation? Elias's vision tunneled. Champagne turning to acid. He bolted, elevator descent a freefall, streets blurring in tears and taxis. The loft welcomed him cold, Jax arriving later with takeout and tissues. Confront it, he urged over low main. Or it'll haunt. Elias nodded but sleep evaded, mind scripting endings. Harlan's denial, the plea, the walk. Dawn broke slate gray, and he marched to the tower, armor of resolve. Harlan's office waited empty. Note on desk. Portland reshoots. Call me. Rage boiled, Elias hacking his laptop for clues, fingers flying through shared drives. What he found gutted, emails, threaded intimate Derek's remember us in Austin. Met with Harlan's can't forget. But timing. Flirtation, yes, but laced with negotiation. Derek dangling funding for echoes, conditional on rekindling trust. Not affair but barter. Harlan trading pieces of himself for the film's life. Elias's heart fractured. Love twisted into leverage, his vulnerability the unwitting pawn. He confronted via text, raw saw you. Know about Derek. Is this us? Harlan's reply flooded frantic. Not what it seems. Meet me. Airport lounge. Flight delay. Elias went, cab slicing through sleet, lounge a sterile limbo of travelers and regret. Harlan waited by gates, disheveled in hoodie and jeans, vulnerable, the boss stripped bare. Eli, listen. But Elias cut in, voice steel. Truth. All of it. Harlan deflated, words tumbling. Derek's offer, millions for distribution but strings attached. Kissing him? Staging. He needed convincing, thought it'd seal. Horror twisted Harlan's face. I hate it. Hate me for it. But the film's our baby, your vision in it. Couldn't let it die. Elias reeled, betrayal's layers peeling. And me? Collateral. Harlan reached, desperate. Never. You're the why. The heart. Tears tracked Elias's cheeks, cold fury melting to ache. You should have trusted me. Us. Harlan pulled him close, airport din fading, sobs muffled in wool. I do now. Walk with me. Or let me go. The choice hung raw as open wound. Elias pulled back, searching those blues, storm cleared to sky. Fight for it. No more trades. Harlan nodded, vow solemn. Swear. They parted with a kiss tasting of salt and second chances. Harlan boarding for reshoots, Elias cab-bound home, heart a battlefield. But climax crested unexpected. Back at the loft, phone erupted. Mia frantic. Elias shit, Derek leaked footage. Echoes prelims twisted. Claims Harlan stole his concept. Scandal bloomed online, ex-posts raging. Outlets baying Voss media ethics under fire. Elias's interviews, his cuts, weaponized in smear. Panic surged. He raced to Jax's bar shift, commandeering a booth to scroll carnage. Harlan's texts pinged. Hold tight. Fixing it. Night deepened, Elias adrift in betrayal's wake. His work, his love, collateral in Harlan's gambit. He drafted a resignation, fingers shaking but paused on memories. Shared dawns, whispered dreams. Humanistic pull tugged. Forgiveness not weakness but strength. By midnight resolve hardened. Not flight but confrontation. He texted Harlan, come back. We end this together. The storm broke as Harlan's red eye landed. Taxi depositing him soaked at the loft. Door flew open, arms crashing, words spilling. Apologies, strategies, unbreakable us. They plotted through dawn, counters to Derek's lies, truths to reclaim. Passion reignited, fierce as survival. Bodies entwined on kitchen floor. Gasps affirming life amid ruin. We're the story, Harlan breathed, Elias echoing. And we write the end. Resolution dawn tentative but theirs. Compassion forging from fracture. Identity reclaimed in love's unyielding light. Echoes of exile's scandal raged like a Pacific gale. Headlines whipping through Seattle's digital veins. Voss media accused of IP theft. Queer doc under fire. Elias woke to the frenzy, Harlan's arm heavy across him. The loft's single window framing a city braced against wind-whipped rain. They'd crashed post-plotting, bodies spent from urgent reaffirmation, but morning brought clarity's edge. Harlan stirred, murmuring into Elias's neck. We'll weather it. Elias nodded but dread coiled. His face splashed in clickbait thumbnails. Interviews twisted into stolen narratives. They moved as unit. Coffee brewing while laptops hummed battle plans. Harlan called in favors. Lawyers from Austin allies, publicists who'd weathered worse. Elias drafted a Medium post, raw, unfiltered. His voice reclaiming the footage, detailing Derek's manipulations, the humanistic core of queer stories not owned but lived. These aren't props, he typed, fingers steady now. They're pulses. Harlan Voss didn't steal. He amplified. Harlan read over shoulder. Pride softening his strain. Publish it. Your words are shield. The day blurred into war room. Voss Tower locked down, team rallying. Mia fierce on damage control, interns fact-checking leaks. Jax texted morale boosts. Beers later. Kick his ass. Elias stole moments with Harlan in stairwells. Quick kisses grounding the chaos. Whispers of I love you. First uttered there. Casual as breath, profound as vows. Harlan's eyes lit. Texas drawl thickening. Say it again. Elias did. Sealing with lips that promised tomorrows. Derek countered vicious. Presser in LA, smug and seersucker, claiming creative sabotage by Voss's pretty boy editor. The dig landed low. outing Elias's role in slurs veiled as scandal. Phones exploded, support from queer networks, vitriol from trolls. Elias's inbox flooded. Hate mail slicing old wounds but gems too. Cal emailing. Proud of you, son. Truth's your river. Strength surged. Elias went live on X unscripted. This film's for the hidden ones. Derek Hale twists pain for profit. We rise anyway. Backlash peaked that evening, paparazzi swarming tower exits. Harlan shielded Elias with arm across shoulders, flashing defiant grins as flashes popped. Inside the penthouse, sanctuary beckoned, views stormy, bar cart refuge. They poured bourbon, Harlan's hand trembling on glass. I dragged you here. Elias cupped his face fierce. Chose it. Every step. Lovemaking followed, slow and sacred. Candlelight dancing on skins, Harlan's mouth worshipping freckles, Elias's gasped prayers of persistence. You're my north, Harlan whispered, compass tattoo glowing under lips. Resolution threaded through turmoil. Public turned. Viral threads dismantling Derek's lies, backers pulling from his ventures. Echoes premiered early, emergency screening at SIFF, house packed, standing ovations crashing like waves. Elias and Harlan sat center, hands clasped hidden, tears tracking as Cal took stage. This boy's heart made it real. Post-screening Q&A, Harlan outed the fight. Derek Hale preyed on trust. But love? That's the real power. Gasps, then cheers. Elias squeezed his hand, pride swelling. Freedom tasted sweet in aftermath. Derek's empire crumbling under lawsuits. Voss Media vindicated, stronger. Elias's Medium post trended, opening doors. Script offers, panels on queer authenticity. But deeper healing bloomed private. Weekends escaped to Harlan's cabin near Index. Evergreens whispering absolution. They hiked river trails, Elias's tattoo alive in currents, Harlan skipping stones with boyish laughs. Evenings by firelight. Stories swapped, vulnerabilities bared. No bosses, just men mending. One dusk, porch swing creaking, Harlan knelt. Not ring but journal, leather-bound, pages his handwritten sequel. Their story from thirst trap to triumph. Write with me, he said, eyes earnest. Elias pulled him up. Kiss deepening commitment. Always. Yet humanism tempered joy. Outreach to Derek's victims, anonymous funds for affected creators. Elias mentored interns, Harlan diversified hires, stories for the marginalized, not the mighty. Betrayal's scar faded to lesson. Compassion in conflict, identity in exposure. Seattle softened into spring. Cherry blossoms dusting streets like confetti. Elias edited his first solo doc. Palouse whispers, queer roots unearthed. Harlan producing, equal partners. Pride swelled not in parades but quiet. Morning coffees shared. Hands intertwined on commutes. Love's steady narrative. In the end they stood on penthouse balcony. City sprawling benevolent. Sound a silver promise. We made it, Elias murmured. Harlan turned, smile crooked. And it's just the opening scene. Harlan's journal became ritual. Nights in the cabin. Pens scratching futures amid crackling fires. Elias added verses, poetic bridges to Harlan's prose. Their voices merging like rivers. This is us, Harlan said, reading aloud a passage on forgiveness's forge. Elias nodded, heart full, the betrayal's echo now harmony. Public life balanced. Echoes swept awards, glad nods affirming their truth. Elias keynote at Outfest, voice steady. Stories save when we let them breathe. Harlan watched from wings, pride palpable, later toasting in hotel suites with champagne and slow dances. But the humanistic core pulsed personal. Visiting Elias's Palouse home, Harlan meeting his mother, awkward teas turning warm with shared pies, her quiet acceptance a balm. Harlan's Austin kin followed. Barbecues under stars where drawls welcomed Elias's kin. Freedom manifested in small freedoms. Public handholds at cafes, labels owned without fear. Identity solidified. Not in labels but living. Elias's freckled fair skin against Harlan's tan Texan glow. A portrait of blended Americas. Yet lingering by kitsch tinged. Derek's downfall bittersweet, his public apology hollow, but Elias sent a note and signed, Rise better. Compassion's quiet victory. As summer gilded the sound, they planned more films, homes, horizons. Love, dramatic in birth, romantic in bloom, humanistic in endurance. A testament to Tracken amid storms, to do in vulnerability, band sack in union. Summer's haze lifted Seattle's veil, sunlight gilding the Space Needle as echoes of exile cemented legacy, streaming platforms bidding wars won, its message rippling through hearts nationwide. Elias and Harlan navigated the glow with grounded grace, interviews tag teaming. Elias's earnest vulnerability complementing Harlan's charismatic steel. It's about seeing each other, Elias told a podcaster, Harlan's hand warm off mic. Flaws and all. Life wove richer tapestries. Elias's Palouse dock greenlit, shoots pulling them east, endless wheat seas where Harlan learned to drive stick on dirt roads, laughing as dust caked their boots. Evenings in childhood barns, fireflies winking as Elias shared boyhood haunts, Harlan listening rapt. Your roots run deep, he said, pulling Elias close under star-pricked skies. Lovemaking there felt primal. Hay scented, urgent, affirming home in each other's arms. Back west, Harlan's vulnerabilities surfaced gentle. Therapy sessions Elias attended, unpacking Austin armors, the AIDS loss that armored his heart. You make it safe, Harlan confessed post-session, tears rare and real. Elias held him through nights, whispers of Whitman's leaves binding wounds. Community anchored them. Volunteering at queer youth centers, Harlan funding scholarships, Elias mentoring edits. One teen, wide-eyed Finn from rural Oregon, echoed young Elias, timid sketches blooming under guidance. Thanks for believing, Finn scrawled in a card. Harlan pocketed it, eyes soft. We all need mirrors. Xander Derek's shadow faded to footnote, his ventures folded. A quiet retreat to therapy rumors. No gloat, just a shared toast one night. To moving on. Betrayal's lesson endured. Power's illusion, love's true currency. Climax's echo lingered in dreams. Thirst traps ping a myth now, birthing empire of two. They bought a queen and row house, walls echoing laughs, kitchen counters scarred from communal suppers with Jax and Mia. Weddings whispered, not legal rush but commitment's rhythm. Vows exchanged on a Hoh rainforest hike, ferns witnesses, rings simple bands engraved with rivers and compasses. Humanism crowned it. A foundation launched, stories unsilenced, amplifying marginalized voices, trans poets from Maine coasts by elders in Texas plains. Elias helmed creative, Harlan ops, their synergy legend. One autumn eve, porch swing in golden light, Harlan traced Elias's jaw. From accident to this. Elias smiled, green eyes steady. Best plot twist. Kiss deepened, world fading to their pulse. In the narrative's close, no tidy bow, life's mess, romantic, dramatic arcs curving endless. But in each other they found compass. Compassion navigating storms, freedom in raw selves, identity woven unbreakable. Theirs was a love American as rain-slick streets and starlit fields. Flawed, fierce, forever unfolding.